The Midwest, I think, there definitely is a much better. I mean, this we're talking about education side, but
It is. It is.
they have a much better way of developing children. The way, and especially
agree.
to be raised to be a good. The West doesn't have a really good.
People do what they want out here, man.
Yeah, it's just not shoveling snow.
It's different. We used to get thrown in leaf piles growing up, and then I come out here first Christmas. I walk outside. I'm like, why is it sunny?
Right.
Like, bro, what?
Yo.
We used to playing with our toys inside the house. So it was sunny. I was confused.
Wild, right?
It's different. Even when I go to the store
It don't even feel like Christmas.
and I see an old lady carrying waters, I'm like, hey, do you need help? They're like, no.
They feel weird.
Because I feel like that's just in me because that is Midwest. And that comes from my mom. When I say, I'm going to say California mom and Texas mom. That's
Sure.
what I'm going to preference.
Right.
So that's California mom. I hear her in the head, boy, you better ask that lady for help. But out here, people don't do that.
Right.
So it's almost like, not almost, it is. We are a Southern California family still with Midwest values and morals and how we move.
So going through middle school, going through high school, because we went to the same high school, right? How was that dynamic growing up? You have two families from two different. Are you traveling all the time?
All the time.
You mentioned you said that you would go on a plane.
Crying on the plane, crying at a young age because I'm traveling by myself and I'm a little kid sitting in the seat looking around. And there's some flight attendant who I don't know. It's like, hey, yeah, we're almost there. And I'm sitting there like, why am I by myself on a plane? So it was tough, bro. It's tough. So I feel like up until I met my wife, there was a part of me, I think I've always been emotionally closed off. Teenage years, at least to my family, emotionally unavailable. Emotionally closed off. I always say I feel like in high school I was just stuck inside.
Yeah.
Even though to the people I'm dealing with, friend groups, I would say going to Etowanda, I was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel cool inside. But to the world, I think people would say, Armani, oh yeah, he was cool. That's the homie. But inside, I did not like high school at all, bro.
What was the
Disconnect?
I was gonna say the battle, but yeah.
For one, if I can summarize it, I just got diagnosed ADHD at 31. At 30. So I always felt a disconnect inside. Like, why do I do that? I was talking to my wife about it 2 nights ago. I'm like, you don't understand, babe. I'm always antsy. I want to just sit in peace and be still, but inside I'm like this. I'm always moving because that's the ADHD, looking for that euphoria, looking for that stimulation. So as a kid, I would do things, or if I'm taking a test in class and everybody finishes, I'm like, dang, I need more time. And I can never articulate that because in black households, we don't talk about mental health.
Yeah, that's facts.
It doesn't exist. So
That's huge.
that was the disconnect inside. Something's off. Something's off, but I don't know what it is because I have no clue about it.
There's no one to talk to at this time. You have like no outlets.
I can always talk to my dad.
Okay. All right.
To be honest, I never feel like I can talk to California mom because she's very, what's the word? Very loving, but very my way or the highway. Honestly, that's just what it is. She's very black and white.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever felt she was a safe space.
Sure.
My dad definitely, but I think growing up I felt lost inside. Even though I can talk to my dad, I didn't.
I can relate here because something that I notice, being a suburb kid going through the city is a little bit different, right? The world you live in, Midwest is a little bit different, right? But if you're pulled in like 4 different directions, and you're trying to make your own, you're trying to find your own identity. But there's like a clear, like, you either do this or That's
my house.
It's
you do this or you're disloyal. And it's like, hey, what if I just think different? What if I have a different perspective?
It's like you need the space to fail because without that space to be able to land on you never get to fully experience like, okay, that's why, understanding the why behind the decisions that you're making.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that it didn't really change until you met your spouse. What was that? Was that just the chance to finally just kind of be open, that safe space that you're looking for? It seems like a woman's perspective. It seems from what. Okay.
No, that's what it is.
Okay.
Me and my wife were talking about it. I have a great dad, and I love my moms. I love them, but
it's far.
Both of my moms are not okay. I feel men are called to encourage and teach their sons and daughters to be confident in who they are. Women, I think by design, are called to nourish. You fall down, oh, hey, honey, you're okay. Let me kiss that for you. I never had that. My Texas mom, straight hood. I'm not kidding. My mom growing up will punch you over a parking spot. My mom will fight dudes. My mom is really like that. And then California mom is tough, nitty gritty, small town Indiana. Had to fight her way. No dad around. So she was one of the first black women in America at that time to not have a dad when black families were still together. So she's just tough. You fell down, you'll be all right. So I never got that, hey, it's okay. Nobody ever patted me. So that was the disconnect. I never got that.
I 100% agree with you here. Yeah. I'm going to rewind just a little bit from the beginning of this conversation. You mentioned a little bit of a I don't want to call it dichotomy, but a little bit of tension here, right? First side being like, hey, look, that nourishment that a mother provides, a woman provides to people, but also that earlier comment, hey, I'm a man, I take responsibilities for my actions. I kind of take over my feelings and so on and so forth. But I do there is a time, right, where like people kind of need some support, People need some love, some from those moments, Where do you feel like the time of like, hey, you needed to be stronger because, hey, look, I'm a man, I got to step up. But versus the time like, man, I really wish I had someone there to kind of be like, hey, be okay, man. Here's a hug. What do you kind of feel
I would say California home, my brother is super loud and my older sister was really emotional. So they sucked the air out the room. It's that simple. So I felt like as a kid, because we're step siblings, but we don't see it that way in our family. I'm like, okay, they don't have a dad, so they need my dad. I need to take a step back because they don't have it. So I'd always take a step back because they're both sucking the life out the room. So it caused me from a kid to teenage years to go inward, even though I think God designed me to be outward because I want to let them have that time because they don't have a dad.
You were sacrificing yourself.
Yes.
Jeez, that's a huge weight on your shoulders.
I felt like if God in my house in California, we do. First off, here's what I want to say. I think this is a fact. I think everybody's different, but I think black people have a hard time with conflict. At least that's how I was raised.
Right.
It's either, oh, you did that, I'm done with you, I'm cutting you off, you're done, you're disloyal. Where at least my white friends, I see them work, and my Hispanic friends, I see them work through it, and I'm like, I've never seen that before.
Right.
So growing up, we never would work through conflict. It would just sit, and it's like a bunch of pride. A bunch of pride. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to go inward because nobody knows how to have conflict. I'll give you an example. I love my brother to death. I'll jump in front of a bullet for my older brother.
Right.
But if I disagree, he'd punch me. Boom. So we're fighting. So I would go inward because I'm like, I don't want to fight.
Done tired. Yeah.
But I'm not a bitch.
Right.
You feel me?
Yeah.
We can get down, but I'm like, okay, I don't always want to physically fight. So I would go inward.
Wait, why can't we talk? And so you finally got to talk to someone. It seems like that was your wife.
Yes. I'm like, oh, wow.
That's crazy.
This woman actually listens to me. She makes me feel heard. Where growing up outside of my dad, I'm talking about California family.
Right.
I never felt heard. I never had that safe space. I didn't feel comfortable to share how I was feeling. Because if it's different from our family picture, then I'm looked at as, oh, you're weird. Nah, man, I just have a different perspective. And I don't want to fight and argue all the time. I'd rather just talk. And it's very, very simple, too. So have you heard of love languages?
Yeah, love.
Okay, so I'm words of affirmation.
Yo, same.
My dad gives it to me. My mom's, I can count on a hand how many times they've looked me in the face and said, I'm proud of you. I never had that from them. So that's why I think I take things more personal because by design, God created me to be, whereas now I'm older now, I've learned, hey, I only care what my wife and my son thinks at the end of the day. I'm a man. I have to make my choices. Being a leader is not about caring what other people think. It's about making a tough decision that people don't agree with. And I'm at the point where I understand that. But growing up, man, my brain couldn't fathom that. So I think I was thirsty for words. Thirsty, man. And I never got that. I'm like a wild animal, I say. I'm a little lion in the bush as a kid, but nobody pet the lion. So I turned wild. But if you would have just pet me, I feel like I would have been normal and had a different outcome.
Well, I remember you in high school, and I would have never thought. No, I mean, like you must have had a really good callus because
I did. It was a show.
Yo,
I think I put on a show in high school.
Yo,
straight show, dog. Clown show.
I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, but I would. I mean, you had a sense of respect. I think from a lot of people that I would interact with, I never
not
would
from
thought,
women, but from the homies. That's a whole.
Maybe you're right. Oh my gosh, I never
Girls
thought
hated
of that.
me at Etiwanda, and I'm not bragging about that.
Sure.
If I had a do-over, I would treat everybody right. Everybody right. The homies love me.
I'm not gonna lie, because I don't know much from the women's perspective towards.
Dog, that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, that's gonna be another day. So then, hey, chime in the chat. So